So in the last video, we covered some thoughts on raising capital from, I guess, investors in general. And in this case, I want to talk a little bit about raising from Mucker specifically and the kinds of things we look for. I would say probably the first thing and kind of the most important area is we tend to look for entrepreneurs with domain expertise that have a novel insight. And what that means is that, we're not thesis-based investors. So we don't sort of say like, here's the world as we see it, here's how it's going to unfold, here's how this industry is going to play out. We know the kinds of companies we're looking for, and if you fit our mold of what we're looking for, that's the kind of thing we're going to invest, because we know how things are going to unfold. That's not our take. We are actually looking for entrepreneurs that know more than we do. And frankly, it usually, when we do meet an entrepreneur who has really deep domain expertise and one of these insights, it feels like a surprise. It's less like, oh, I knew that's what I was looking for, and more like, wait, what? Really? Like, that's a thing? Like, this market is that broken, and your solution is that simple, and people want it that much? Like, how did that not happen before? It usually comes by way of surprise, gives us something to think about, and gives us something to learn about and dig into afterwards, and just kind of learn like why your solution hasn't happened before. And so that is not the only kind of thing we'll invest in, but that's a really good start, I would say, is that surprise, like teaching us something we don't know. I would say also, just as former entrepreneurs ourselves, I've mentioned in some previous videos, I started 5 companies. Every single one of them was bootstrapped, right? They all started from me just trying to get going. My 5th company, which was AdMob, was the only one that was venture-backed eventually, but every other company was bootstrapped. My partners here at Mucker, Eric and Will, started with their own capital and bootstrapped off the ground. If you came by our office, it's a bootstrap looking place. And so we do have an affinity for entrepreneurs that have been able to get going with very little. And built a culture around that very little, and sort of have a bootstrap mentality even after they've raised money. Like, that's kind of built into the DNA of the place, and so we tend to work well with companies that have that mindset. I would say that there's also a lot of focus for us around velocity. Like, we're interested in companies that are able to move quickly, change quickly, and react to stimuli, basically, that comes from the market or their customers. And in some cases, it'll even come from us. I know we will, sometimes we'll ask you for something. We'll be like, hey, can you do this? Or have you tried that? Or have you thought about this? Some entrepreneurs will come back the next week having, done a small project based on that and tell us the results. Some of them will sort of, hem and haw and hypothesize, and nothing will ever happen. And so that's kind of an indication to us that maybe they're not so fast. And speed in this business, we talked about, how entrepreneurship is very much improv with the world. You got to be fast. You got to be quick on your feet. And so we do look for that velocity. I would say we're also very focused on companies that we're very, very partial to companies that focus on actual success rather than the signs of success. And what I mean by that is we're not looking for vanity metrics or certain being able to announce certain big features that don't actually result in anything. We're interested in entrepreneurs that tell us how they're going to hit milestones that actually will impact the real, destiny of their business. And on that topic, we have a term we use internally, which is destiny control. And what we mean by that is, after this round, if you wanted to, could it be your last round? Is there a way where you could get the business to cash flow positive and you could have control of your own destiny and not have to do the next round? I will tell you, one of the surest ways to torpedo an investment from us is talking about the next round while you're raising this round. Like, yes, after I raise this X million dollars, then it'll get me this far and I'll be able to raise the next round. That's terrible. Like, that's not something that works for us. Well, we're interested in businesses that could have control over their own destiny, that maybe they'll need a round after this, but they're not focused on it, they're not building towards it, and they're certainly not going to be stuck in a situation where that's their only outcome. We want businesses that could take whatever capital we're giving them, especially if it's reasonably substantial, and get it to a point where it could be a business, because we're in the business of businesses.